Did I ever tell you that I can read minds? I'll show you. Think of a number between 1 and 50. And this is for everybody. I need everyone to participate. If you're on Zoom, if you're in the room, think of a number between 1 and 50. But it has to be a 2-digit number where both digits are odd numbers and both digits are different from one another. For example, 11 wouldn't count because 1 and 1 are the same, but 13, 15, 17, those are fine. Okay? Hold that number in your head and focus on it. I'm sensing a very strong 37. Raise your hand if you were thinking of 37. Anybody?
Because
Marina,
I know
well?
I know
Right. I got one. All right, that didn't work. So this is supposedly this mentalist trick where you can force people to think of the number 37, and it works on 2 factors. One is, you might have noticed I limited the scope of numbers quite a bit. So there's actually only 8 numbers you could choose from that met all that criteria. And supposedly, of those 8 numbers, people more often than not pick the number 37 for some reason. Didn't work today. I don't know what happened, but that's okay. Because the fact is, there actually is, even if this magic trick didn't work, there's something really special about the number 37. It's my favorite number. And today I'm going to be talking about, number 1, why I think the number 37 is special. Then I'm going to share a counter argument that indicates maybe this is all just in my head. But then I'll close with some scientific evidence that I think proves that there really is something unique about the number 37. The main thing that's interesting about the number 37 is that it just sounds like such a random number. It's not a round number at all. It's not a multiple of 5 or 10. It's this odd prime number, and both digits are both odd prime numbers. It doesn't really fit into anything. For example, if I tell you the line at the DMV was so long, I had to wait for 40 minutes. You probably think, okay, I bet Philip didn't actually stand there timing exactly 40 minutes. He rounded to 40 minutes. It's a round number. But if I say the line at the DMV was so long, I had to wait for 37 minutes. Oh, now you're thinking, okay, I don't think Philip rounded to 37. Maybe he actually timed it and it was exactly 37 minutes. It's very precise. It gives me a little more credibility in my statement. Now, I see people do this all the time. And the thing is, when they're just trying to make up a number that sounds real, more often than not, they end up picking 37. And then when authors and screenwriters do this, you end up seeing 37s in movies and books and TV shows. I see them everywhere. And I get really jovial when I see them. I get so excited. I tell my friends, I tell my family. I told my one friend, Jeff, and Jeff said, Philip, you are full of hogwash. Okay, he didn't use those exact words, but that's basically what he meant. He said, look, Philip, the only reason you see 37s everywhere is because you're looking for 37s. He said, my favorite number is 23. And it seems like every time I look at a clock, it's always 5:23 or 12:23, but I know that's not really true. I know that my brain is just remembering all the times that I saw 23 because it's my favorite number, and conveniently forgetting all the times that I did. Fellow Toastmasters, Jeff and I are no longer friends. Okay. But the uncomfortable truth is, he's actually right. This is a well-known psychological bias called the Bader-Meinhof phenomenon, also called the frequency illusion, which states that when you have a favorite number, or you learn a new word, or you buy a certain new car, all of a sudden you start seeing them everywhere. And you actually believe that this thing is more common than it really is. So maybe this whole 37 thing is just in my head. But the thing is, I'm not the only one who has noticed this. Let me tell you a quick story about when I went off to college. Freshman year, I move into the dorms, and I meet the guy right across the hall from me. His name's Devin. We get to talking. He says, hey, what's your AIM screen name? Remember AOL Instant Messenger, chatting online with your friends? I said, oh, it's Bob37. Don't ask about the Bob. That's just like a whole different story. But the point is, it was Bob37. And Devin says, huh, that's weird. Mine's Devo37. I said, oh, well, the 37 is my favorite number. And he goes, me too. And I said, I'm kind of obsessed with it, actually. Like, I see it everywhere. And he says, me too. He goes, come take a look at this. So we go in his room, and he pulls out his high school yearbook. On the cover of the yearbook, there's a picture of a clock with the hands pointing to 3 and 7. Starts flipping through the yearbook, and there are all these 37s in the pictures and the captions and the articles, and it turns out he was on the yearbook committee, and he deliberately hid all these 37s in the yearbook just as kind of a joke. And he's like, I know it's kind of nerdy. And I'm like, are you kidding me? This is the coolest thing I've ever seen. We became good friends. But it was just this crazy coincidence, right? Two people living across from each other, both obsessed with the number 37. But you could still argue that both of us only saw 37s because we were looking for them. I could never really prove in an unbiased way that there was something special about the number 37 until this year. Let me show you what I found. I was looking at this YouTube channel, Veritasia, and they make these videos about science and math and technology. And I was scrolling through their videos, and one of them really jumped out at me. Can you guess which one? Yeah, it says 37. Why is this number everywhere? And if you watch the 20-minute video, what the producers did is they went out and they surveyed a whole bunch of people in person, and they made this online survey, and it just had one simple question. Pick a random number between 1 and 100. And they didn't attach a bunch of conditions. It didn't have to be odd or 2 digits or any of that stuff that I tried to pull on you. Just any number 1 to 100. They gathered results from over 200,000 people, and this is what they saw. The numbers that people selected the most frequently were 7, 37, 73, and 77. Clearly, people have a fascination with the numbers 3 and 7, even if they don't realize it. And the reason I think 37 comes up so often is there's this big range from like 10 to 70, which is a pretty common range that comes up in everyday life. So if someone is just off the top of their head trying to think of a number between 10 and 70, the one that they're going to gravitate towards the most, as shown by these results, is 37. I saw this and I was like, yes, it's a real thing. I'm not crazy. I love this. So in conclusion, I know that I see 37s more frequently because I'm looking for them. But I now have proof that people really do, for some reason, gravitate to the number 37. And now that you know this too, I guarantee you're going to start seeing them everywhere. And when you do, let me know, because I actually have a blog called Obsession 37, where I chronicle every time I see a number 37, friends and family send in their submissions. I'd love to add you to my blog. Back to you, Ponti.
Great job.